Why are you always tired, even when you sleep? Why does it feel like your life is an endless cycle of obligations and consumption, without ever feeling like you are truly in control? What no one tells you is that this is no coincidence. Your energy is being used against you, and you don't even realize it. The system is designed to keep you distracted, consuming and, most of all, exhausted. It's like you're a battery, constantly drained to power something bigger that never truly benefits you. But here's the secret that few understand: there is a way out. While most people live on autopilot, thinking they are choosing freely, you can start to see the gears of this game. And it's not just about waking up to reality, it's about taking control. Imagine if you could reclaim your energy, reconnect with what really matters, and finally break this cycle. Does it seem impossible? That's exactly what the system wants you to think. In this video, you will discover how to identify these invisible traps and learn practical strategies to reclaim what is rightfully yours: your freedom, your creativity, your connection to life. Get ready to see what is right before your eyes, but has never been explained to you in this way. Because once you understand the game, it will never be the same. It's fascinating, and a little scary, to think about how the system around us drains our energy almost imperceptibly. You know that tiredness you feel even after a night's sleep? It's not just physical, it's mental, emotional. Excessive tasks, social demands, and even endless notifications on your cell phone are like small drains that, at the end of the day, leave you exhausted. Think about how we spend hours consuming content online, but rarely create something that truly connects us with our essence. It's a game that keeps us running like gears without us even realizing it. Now, reflect on the feeling of freedom you think you have. It is possible that it is trapped in a cycle of forced urbanization, where concrete replaces nature, and free time is filled with more consumption, whether of products or entertainment. This is no coincidence. The system is designed to keep you busy, disconnected from your creativity and, consequently, your vital energy. Want an example? Notice how the work routine often consumes your best time, and the little that remains is used to regain strength just to repeat the process. But, you see, this cycle is not eternal, as long as you realize it. Start questioning how you spend your time and energy. Do you really need to watch that TV show that doesn't bring you anything? Or buy that item that will only take up space? A simple habit can be a turning point. Take an hour to walk outside, without your cell phone. Just you, nature and silence. Small steps can rekindle what seemed lost. And of course, the system never wants you to realize this. It surrounds you with planned distractions, like that sense of urgency created by emails and messages. The trick is to get out of this vortex, but that requires more than awareness. It requires strategy, and that is what we will continue to explore. After all, the strongest currents are the ones you don't even see. The heaviest chains are not made of iron, but of invisible norms that silently control our lives. It's incredible how habits, beliefs, and social rules become an invisible maze that limits our choices. Have you ever noticed how certain social expectations push us towards predetermined paths? Study, work, consume, repeat. The idea that we need to follow a standard to be accepted is a classic example of how these currents work. They don't scream, but they whisper, and with that, they imprison us. Think, for example, about how society values productivity above all else. You're practically programmed to feel guilty when you rest, as if free time is a luxury. Meanwhile, your energy is channeled into tasks and goals that are not always yours. Have you ever seen a child play without worry? It's a reminder of how creativity flows freely when we're not bound by the chains of duty. But as adults, that connection is drained by the system's invisible chains. And then distractions come in. They not only fuel the cycle, but also serve as anesthesia. Social networks, endless series, consumption of useless information, They are like golden handcuffs that keep you busy without allowing you to question. The feeling of always being on is not an accident, but a strategy. A simple example, that notification that interrupts your concentration on work or reading a good book. This disconnects you from the depth, leaving you stuck on the surface. These chains, although invisible, can be broken. But the first step is to see them. And when you start to notice, everything changes. Suddenly, that feeling that something is wrong takes shape. But look, recognizing the currents is just the beginning. The real question is, what to do with this realization? The much proclaimed freedom of choice. It's funny how we are led to believe that we have complete control over our lives, isn't it? However, many of the decisions we make are already pre-packaged by the system. Choosing between two nearly identical products or between political candidates that seem like more of the same is a classic example. You feel like you are in charge, but in reality you just choose from options that have been carefully shaped for you. It's like being at a buffet where all the dishes taste the same but with different presentations. This also applies to unrestrained consumption. How many times have you bought something you didn't even need, just because it was on sale or seemed irresistible? This freedom to consume is a trap to keep you in the cycle of spending and dependence. Instead of questioning the system, you get lost in the glare of the shop windows. A clear example. Constant smartphone updates. Did you really need a new model, or were you led to believe you did? The choice, in this case, is not always yours. But the most perverse trick is in big decisions, like where to live or work. Often, options seem to be ours, but they are limited by external forces, such as forced urbanization or the fear of leaving our comfort zone. Choosing the least worst is not freedom, it is conformity. And, in this scenario, creativity, that spark that connects us with greater possibilities, is stifled. This is where the system wins. It offers you choices that don't challenge your reality, but only reinforce your prison. Awakening to this reality is like removing a veil. Suddenly, you start to question everything, your priorities, your desires, and even the beliefs that were passed on to you. But are we ready to face what comes to light when the illusion falls apart? There is much more to explore, especially when fear enters the picture. Fear is a powerful tool, and whoever controls it, controls you. It doesn't need to be explicit. In fact, the most effective fears are the subtle ones, the ones you don't even realize you carry. The fear of failure, rejection, or even breaking out of the norm are enough to keep you on the path the system wants you to follow. It's like a constant whisper that says, don't take any chances, stay where you are. And so, your energy is drained, because fear is a voracious consumer. It paralyzes you, prevents your connection with creativity, and saps the courage to explore new possibilities. Notice how fear is used to sell security. Insurance, alarms, monitoring systems, everything reinforces the idea that the world is dangerous and that you need to protect yourself at any cost. This is reflected even in the little things. Have you noticed how the fear of making mistakes can stop you from trying something new? Whether at work or in your personal life, you end up opting for what is known, what is comfortable, while the unknown, which could bring growth, is left aside. It's a psychological trick that keeps you in a bubble, disconnected from your true strength. The system understands this very well and uses fear to distract. Alarming news, doomsday scenarios, economic uncertainty, it all keeps you in a constant state of alert. But attention is not the same as action. In fact, fear can create a kind of mental paralysis, preventing you from taking action even when the solutions are right in front of you. For example, that fear of losing your job can make you endure toxic situations, even when a change of direction would be liberating. However, fear is not invincible. It slows down when you start to connect with something bigger, like nature or your own intuition. Try spending time away from screens, alone, outdoors. No news, no alarms. Just you and the sound of the wind. In these pauses, you discover that the fear is not as great as it seemed. But overcoming fear is just the first step. What comes next can change everything, especially when it comes to breaking the cycle that imprisons you. Breaking the cycle is not easy, but it is possible, and, more than that, it is transformative. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to reclaim your energy and use it consciously. The first step is awareness. Start by noticing where your energy is going. Is she being consumed by useless worries? Incessant distractions? Or maybe because of a routine that disconnects you from who you really are? The simple act of paying attention is a form of resistance. After all, the system doesn't want you to see how it works. Reconnecting with nature is one of the most powerful ways to regain this energy. Contact with greenery, the sound of birds, the touch of the wind on your face, all of this has an almost magical effect. Nature simplifies, calms, and, most importantly, reminds you of who you are outside of the chaos. Try setting aside time each week for this. A walk in a park, planting something at home, or just looking at the sky can do wonders. It's a way of telling the system, not here. Another strategy is simplification. We often accumulate things, commitments, and even thoughts that we don't need. This drains energy imperceptibly. How about starting with a little exercise? Choose a room in your house and eliminate everything that no longer serves you. Donate, sell, or discard. The energy released by this practice is real and palpable. And the same goes for the mind. Reduce the consumption of useless information and focus on what really matters. Less is more, and each conscious choice brings you closer to freedom. Ultimately, awakening is more than a decision, it is an ongoing process. Every small action, like taking time to create something, whether it's a text, a painting, or an idea, reinforces your autonomy. Creativity is a powerful antidote to the cycle. But the journey doesn't end here. Breaking the cycle is just the beginning of something bigger, a life with purpose and true connection. Now, the question is, what will you do with this new energy? If everything you've seen so far makes sense, it's time to act. Knowing that your energy is being used against you is the first step, but the real power is in applying this knowledge. How about starting today? Identify a habit, a distraction, or a belief that is keeping you stuck and question it. Why is this in your life? Does this really serve you? By breaking just one of these links, you will be closer to the freedom you are looking for. And now, the question is, what are you going to do with this new awareness? Will you let fear continue to guide your decisions? Or will you take the reins and start creating a life more aligned with who you really are? I challenge you to take the first step today. It can be simple, a walk outside, less time on social media, or even starting a creative project that has been saved for years. Small steps lead to big transformations. If you want to continue exploring these ideas and delving deeper into how to recover your energy, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Each new content is an opportunity to awaken even more and disconnect from the invisible chains that hold you back. What are you waiting for? Change starts now, and I'm here to walk this journey with you.